It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of FreedomIn5Minutes.com and ProSulam.com. And we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this. It's not how, but who. That and more coming up. Oh, how's it going, everyone? Wow, it's so good to see you again. So good to be with you. So the last few weeks have been really interesting in 2021. 2021 is definitely starting to be just about as interesting as 2020. So many things are happening. So many things are going on that are following on and kind of quickening and growing in a very. It's definitely starting to be an unveiling, so to speak, of many things. I was unsure of how this year was going to start, and it was really cool. I had a really cool awakening that came as a result of all of the things that are going on in the world. But it actually had to do with business. So I don't know about you, but over the last few months, things have been very foggy, right? So things have been kind of unclear as to where things are to go, how things are going to manifest themselves this year. And so I've been spending a lot of time talking with a lot of different people, and in fact, one person in particular who also happens to be a very instrumental part of ProSulam, Paul Tran. We've been able to do some really interesting things. So anyway, so we have a friend, a mutual friend who is also a client who runs a restaurant, and he has. So Paul, if you don't know, he is an amazing franchise developer. In fact, back in the day, he was so cool because he, I want to say, what is 20? Maybe it was even 2013, 2014. No, it had to be 2013. Maybe 2013. He kind of took me under his wing and taught me a lot about selling, a lot about franchises, how restaurant and like emerging restaurant brands work. And keep in mind, this is a guy who was instrumental in a lot of really big name franchises developing across the world, like thousands and thousands of stores being open. And so back in 2013, he let me actually let me work with some potential clients and learn the ropes and go through the sales process and everything like that. So I learned a ton about franchising, about operations, restaurant operations, things like that. And it was through that we, for years and years and years, we always said, hey, it'd be so cool to be able to do stuff together. It'd be so cool to be able to do stuff together. But nothing really ever panned out. I had to go back to my full-time job at the time, and I did the full-time selling for selling franchises never worked out. However, it always was something that I was like, man, dude, there's so much opportunity in the food service industry. There's so much opportunity in the restaurant industry that if I could just help with some of the innovation, there could be a lot of really cool stuff that came as a result. But we didn't go our separate ways. Business-wise, we went our separate ways, but we've always talked. We were always hanging out and doing stuff together and really just keeping in touch. And eventually, it was years later, where we were able to start doing things together. So I started really hammering the virtual systems architects in Prosulum. They're all systems based. They're all, documenting your systems and then actually doing the thing that you showed them, right? And the cool thing about it was, it was something that Paul really needed, something that Paul really that helped him in his franchise development sales and consulting and all other stuff. And eventually he was like, he came on to sell, help me sell VSAs. And of course, because he's an awesome sales guy, it had worked out really well in both of our favor. And we've been kind of doing that ever since. But still, for me, I'm like, dude, franchises, development, food, restaurants, there's so much opportunity there. There seriously is, man. And so it just never, and once again, it never kind of worked out until recently. We had a client who's also a mutual friend who was working with a franchise development company. And this development company just didn't do a good job. I'm not going to say who they are. I'm not going to say who the friend was or anything like that. But they just did not do a good job. In fact, he spent several thousand, tens of thousands of dollars and didn't get too much out of it. Let's just say that. Okay. Well, after a series of events, it kind of came up. I was talking with Paul and I'm like, dude, you could blow his franchise, his brand up around the world. Like this is something that could be huge. And it's a really cool concept. It's a really good brand. And if we do this, we could grow this into something that would be the next level, the next generation franchise development company. Well, there was a little bit of hesitation on Paul's part, but even on mine, because there was a lot of technological stuff that needed to happen. But eventually, I don't know what clicked. Something clicked where I was like, dude, you do the development side, I will do the infrastructure of it. We will crush this thing. We will absolutely crush this. And so we talked with our mutual friend. He was on board. He has such a cool story with his brand, and it was from there that we were able that we came to agreement to start selling, and it's already started to bear fruit, like super fast. We've already had calls and stuff like that with people who are potentially who are interested in the brand much, much faster than this other franchise development company. And it's going to be that way. It's going to continue to be that way because what really clicked for me is how a lot of the times we try to do things on our own. And you're able to find people who could very quickly and easily move you forward in a specific direction. That is where the magic happens, right? Could I sell franchises? Yeah, I could. It would take me a long time. It would be very, very hard. I'd probably hate it, but I know the skills. I know how to do it. Paul taught me. Could Paul do the infrastructure? Could he do the AI stuff? Could he do all of the lead gen stuff, build out the teams and everything like that? Yeah, he could, but it would be difficult for him. It'd be tough for him, and it's not part of his skill set. Now, is that bad? Is that bad for both of us? No, not at all. It's actually really good because now I can say, hey, Paul, you're really good at the selling, the networking, the promoting, finding the targeted demographics. I'm really good at building out the operations, the infrastructure, payment processing, the lead gen, the teams, the delegating, the tasks and everything like that. We could crush this so hard, right? But only when we work together. And it's only going fast because it's who and not how. I had a really a good friend who's also a client, Jared Souza, Jarrod Souza, who he shared with me a book called Who Not How, and this is what it talks about. The faster you can find out who is extremely good at something, and you partner up with them, or you give them something that value that would help make it to where they wanted to help you, you could crush it very fast and grow in ways that you wouldn't have been able to do before, right? So this who not how mentality is so important, and it was the reason why it's so important is it was at this moment in time where I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, like this is the power of knowing who has the skill set that you need to grow, because it wouldn't have happened otherwise. Like, I mean, all these ideas that you might have in your head, a lot of the times there's stuff in those ideas that you're really good at, and there's stuff that you're really horrible at, right? And it's finding the people who can lift you up during the horrible times, or can solve the horrible problems, or who can do the things they enjoy doing, the things that you find horrible and terrible. Those are the when you're able to find who can do that, it multiplies your effectiveness in ways that you couldn't before. So all that being said, extremely happy. We have a lot of really cool things happening, and so Prosulum is moving into a direction that is going to, in my opinion, revolutionize an entire industry, and this is only the beginning. So all that being said, what are you struggling with right now that if you just knew the right person, they could get you to that next step? What are you struggling with right now that if you knew the right person, they would get you to that next step? Contact that person, email them, phone call, and give them a phone call. What's in it for them? When you can reach out to people like that, you can crush it in ways that you would never have crushed it before. All right, this is Dean Soto, freedomin5minutes.com. Go check that out. Go to prosulum.com. Check that out. Man, so excited. Who is your who to get you to that how? Or I don't even know how to say that. Anyway, I'm so excited. So this is Dean Soto, Freedom in 5 Minutes. Go check out freedomin5minutes.com and prosulum.com, and I will see you in the next Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Now, head over to www.freedomin5minutes.com and register for our free masterclass and discover how to start systemizing and automating your entire business 5 minutes at a time. We'll see you next time on the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast.